Hello crafty friends, welcome to another card making video. So I thought today I would go through my box of backgrounds and bits and pull out some backgrounds to use. I've got an absolute ton of them, so they need using up. My idea was to cut lots of little letters out of my backgrounds, so I chose backgrounds that had some solid areas that would be good for die cutting. For my dies, I chose ones that spelled out words. You can use individual letter dies for this, but I thought this would be quickest and easiest. I chose celebrate, happy, birthday and party. I used a bit of washi tape to tape the dies down to the card and then ran the cards through my die cutting machine. As I removed the letters from the dies and the bits of card, I separated the words into piles. So I put all the birthdays into one pile, all the celebrates in another pile, all the happies in another pile, and all the parties in another pile. So I could easily spell out the words on my card fronts, while also picking and mixing the different colours. For my first card, I took a 4x6 inch-ish card blank made from linen textured white card, and I placed a bit of low tack tape at an angle on the front and used it as a guide for where to place the letters of my first word. I added a bit of high tack white glue to my silicone coaster, spread it out with my glue spreader, and then dipped my letters in and placed them along the edge of that masking tape. So the first word I laid down on this card was celebrate, and I had it going off the top of the card. I do snip off the overhanging bits later. Once I'd got celebrate down, I removed the low tack tape and then placed it back on the card at a different angle. And then I added the word happy in the same way as before. And I just worked my way down the card, adding the words celebrate, happy, birthday and party at different angles. Once I'd got whole words down, I then added partial words coming in from the top and the bottom and the sides. So it looks like the card front has been cut from a larger piece of paper. To add a bit of bling, I grabbed some scrap gold foiled cardstock and my star hole punch and punched out an absolute ton of stars. Next, I added lots of dots of matte gel medium to the front of my card, in between and around all the words, and then used my jewel picker-upper thing to add all the gold stars onto those little dots. I use matte gel medium for this because if it splurges out from underneath the stars, it's not going to show up because it does dry matte. I then took a piece of leftover double-sided adhesive release paper and pressed everything down really firmly. And that was my first card done. I will show you some close-ups at the end of the video. On to my second card. I took another linen textured cardstock card blank and covered the whole of the front of it in double-sided adhesive. I trimmed off the excess adhesive with my guillotine, and I will have to give that a bit of a clean because some of that sticky residue did get all over the blade, so that probably wasn't the best idea. And then I grabbed the rest of my colourful letters and arranged them so they tumbled down the front of the card. I started by spreading them out fairly evenly and then filling in the gaps. And I tried not to have too many similar letters or similar colour letters next to each other. I wanted everything to look quite random. So I'm using them a bit like confetti really. And then I punched another load of gold stars and stuck those around the letters and then gave everything a really good burnish with some release paper to make sure the stars and the letters were pressed down fully onto that double-sided adhesive. Because what I wanted to do next was pour iridescent glitter all over the front of the card and get it to stick just to the exposed adhesive and not get any under the letters and stop them sticking properly. So I covered the whole thing in a very fine iridescent glitter. I did that twice to make sure that I got good coverage. I then gave it a good burnish again to press the glitter down into the double-sided adhesive, and I brushed over it with a brush just to remove any excess glitter. For my sentiment, I wanted something that would really pop against that bright glittery background, so I die cut the word celebrate from some black cardstock, but before I did that I put double-sided foam tape on the back so the black cardstock letters would have a bit of a lift. To help me get that on straight, I used the masking tape, the low tack tape again. I did have to cut the letter C a second time because the first time I managed to rip it, but I got there in the end. And there you go, that's a few backgrounds busted and 2 cards made. Which one do you prefer? I'd really be interested to know. The plain linen textured card blank or the glittery one? I think I like the glittery one best. Right, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I hope it's given you some ideas and I hope to see you back here very soon. So don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.